As you can see, I tend not to be a very pushy kind of a chap. And that's only because I haven't learned how to push without getting angry. No, that's true. I'm telling you some truth. Usually when I push, I get angry. So I don't push. But by the 3rd year of the training, maybe things will be different. No. Pull your asses over here. Okay, now. That's good. Maybe I should recruit some of you. This series of lessons, as I said, ties in with what has come before. However, even me saying that is, it needs more filling in. So I'm continuing on with this notion of, if you get to see a little bit of the map, that will maybe enable you to track your own movement a little bit more. So backwards and forwards between the map and the experience and the map and the experience. Yeah. He's in these series of lessons, he's very insistent that you are always leaning on something, that you're always propped up. And you know the reason why. You do know the reason why, don't you? Oh, that's another reason. Yeah, that's the second reason. Great. Oh, and another reason? Yeah, that's it. I'll repeat it. So, but beautiful. So by leaning like that, you free up a little bit of this musculature to make it available for motion. And I was just looking for Helen. Oh, jeez. You see, that's... Oh. Okay, so remember we had that discussion. Can I talk about our discussion yesterday? And like finding this position of the arms is a really important thing, because if you slam all your weight into the arms, your wrists will suffer, no doubt about it. So what's an alternative? Well, he's going to do this really nicely. Okay, so notice if I bring this chap's torso upright, you see the arms come closer and closer, but they're still behind the body. Now his shoulder girdle sucks, let's just face it. Yeah. But notice, even if I put his shoulder girdle into place and put his arms into place, notice his arms are still behind him. Can you see that? Now in this kind of position, semi-reclined, you can now distribute your weight between the arms and the torso, the arms and the torso. So that means your weight isn't being shoved into your wrists. Matter of fact, if you wanted to, if you find just the right position, you can take away a hand and still remain in that position. You can take away the other hand and still remain in that position. And if you find that balance between a little bit of inclination and leaning on the arms, then the wrists are much happier. Okay. Because the shoulder, because the clavicle's in the way, what you can't see is this very first rib up here, the rib right at the top of the chest. If I move him a little bit, can you see that motion up here? That movement? Well, that rib in you does not do that. Well, it does very little of that, because that rib is so strongly attached to this vertebra here, it's only a little bit of motion. Usually the two move together. So if I was to incline that rib this way, which way do you think the head would go? Backwards. Yeah. So there's a relationship that's being looked for in this lesson between the rib cage and the neck and the head, so that as the rib cage lifts, the head inclines backwards. As the rib cage drops, the head inclines forwards. And you can see what's happening in the pelvis already. Can you see that? I get so nervous being looked at. Okay, so, yeah. So there. So there you go. Can you see that position? Notice that there is absolutely no kink in the neck. The neck hasn't even bent yet. Then if I just incline the neck backwards a little bit, there it is. I know, it's very expressive. Yeah. So this is, my elbows, I know. So there is something about the lifting and the movement of the chest that really helps the head to incline backwards. By the same token, a folding of the chest on one side, look what it does. A folding of the chest to the other side, sorry, I'm not going to do this to any of you. Yeah, a folding of the chest to the other side, look what it does. So look, that. If I do it from here, it would work even better, watch. That. Yep. And then if you take the head and around in a circle, ouch, he bit me. Yeah? Yeah. Which is why I did it this way, with the noodle. Remember the noodle? So where's my hand? Right in the middle of him. And look, I'm circling the middle of him, and look what's happening with everything above and below. Yeah? So that's what you're trying to get going. And it takes a lot of paying attention in order to make the perceptions that will eventually lead to the experience of how to do it, and then you know it. But it takes time. Why? For that very same reason, for that chap. Remember the chap I talked about yesterday, walking, and he's having to do, and then he takes a few steps because he knows the landscape now. Same thing with you. It takes a lot of shifting attention, here, until you start to get an inkling of a relationship. Because you're in your mind, you're creating a relationship. And then once you understand that relationship, there's that, I get that now. And then you put it, and if you look, how many relationships exist in here? When you look at this map, there's a lot of relationships. And that's what makes it so tricky. And then when we encounter our own previous habits, the ones that we've carried with us, dragged with, yeah, then they're also getting in the way. And they're skewing your perception. They're taking you off to here. No, do it this way, do it that way. And so you're having to deal with those as well. Not just the movement, but the habits, where the habits take you, what you're used to paying attention to, the movements that you're used to doing, not the new movements. Yeah, and that's why learning anything new in terms of motion and other things as well, but in terms of motion, takes time, just takes time. And patience, lots of patience. Now, was there somebody experiencing a little bit of difficulty with that lesson? Is there someone I could just work with for a moment? Yeah, please. What was your difficulty? Supporting yourself. Okay, your solution was? Yeah, shall I get the bolster? Yeah. You want to pass over that big bolster?
It's under the table, behind the table.
That one. See, behind, in front. Very nice. Okay, so you just set yourself up, because I thought your solution was brilliant. So I don't. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. So now, come back up a little bit. Let's change that bolster a little bit. Okay. Now you can go backwards. Oh, good. So you can lean a little bit back and better here. Yep. And where were you doing with your hands when you're on the bolster? Do you have them behind your head? Yeah, have them behind your head. That's good. So now roll your, if 12 o'clock is in front of you, roll your pelvis to 12. There it goes. 6, 12. That's good. Stop there. Just rest on me. Oh, thank God. Did you see that? Yeah. Because there, come back up. Yeah. Rest on me. Great. Now, a little bit this way, a little bit that way. Bring your feet together, soles touching. Yeah. A little bit this way, a little bit that way. Look the way his legs tilt. Notice that his head moves through space. Can you see that? So your head is being carried through space through the motion of the rest of your body. Yeah. Go to 6. Go to 12. Once again, notice that his head is being carried through space through the motion of his body. So, and now go around the clock with your pelvis. I've got your weight a little bit here. Yeah. Notice again, his weight is being carried. That's okay. You just, yeah. There, that's the lost place right there, right? So what's happening here is that movement. There we go. Yeah. So go ahead. All right, that's enough. Rest a little bit. Aha, there we go. Yeah. 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 So it's that. It's. Yeah, I know. There. Go around, around, around. There we go. There it is. There it is. And right here is where you get stuck, and because that's missing. Yeah. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. That's it. Keep going. Here. That's nice. So notice where all the power is. So that's enough, Lockie. Come back up. All the power is here. You okay? Yeah. So remember that link from the pelvis to the rib cage, that huge sheets of muscle that I couldn't attach to the skeleton? All of that is doing most of that work. And then the muscles at the back. So that pelvic trunk connection is really being called upon there. And there's this complex set of relationships that need to happen in here. How many of you are really good hula hoopers? Anybody a really good hula hooper?
Not bad.
Yeah? If you think of hula hooping, that's the movement. Yeah? Around and around and around and around. Yes, yes. And that would make sense because the other two ends are going in opposite directions. Yeah. The feet connection is so that you don't push the floor with your feet. The arm connection is so that your trunk is almost horizontal, but not quite, which means now you have to move your trunk. You kind of like, this is really awkward. So he's configured you, so you now need to involve your trunk.
I just wanted to ask a question about the neck,
Yep.
because I noticed it towards the end while you were rolling Lachlan around that your head actually was all the time down,
Yep.
like this, which was certainly more comfortable for me. I found leaning back, and I just found after a while that I just had this, cord like that. So do you want to keep trying to engage the head as well, so it's kind of doing its own spin?
That's a great question.
Or,
yeah. So in effect, there are two. Can I borrow your cup? It's got pussycats on it. I like it. Yeah. So in effect, there's two movements going on. So if you think of the head as resting on the top of the thorax at the first rib, if you think of, I like images. If you think of the head as the flower on a stalk and it's growing out of the first rib, what's happening is you're carrying around that flower pot. The flower pot's going around and around and around. And how's that happening? Because you're doing all of this. And the flower pot gets carried around, and it gets carried around, and it gets carried around. But then you can actually orient the cup to face in different directions, or the flower to face in different directions. So as it goes around, it can be doing that. So what you've got going is a very complex. As it's there, it's tipped this way. As it's there, it's tipped that way. As it's at the back, it's tipped that way. As it's at the side, can you see that that is actually, you've got two motions in space going on. The movement of the head being taken around by the trunk, and then the movement of the head as it's moved delicately around the neck. This one, do whatever feels comfortable, but do go looking for it. So who found that movement really easy to do? Because I'd like, thank you very much for the cup. Who found it really easy? No? Philippa, please. There, she really needs to hear that. Okay. All right. So you go ahead and show that. Yeah, whatever you want to do. Yeah, there we go. That's nice. Yeah. So you can see, if you focus here on Philippa's first rib, can you see how that place moves around and to keep going? Because you're doing it beautifully. Yeah. 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 But that actually moves around in a circle. And then she's doing these wonderful movements. Yeah, go ahead. That's all right. No need to apologize. And then see how she's taking her head around. And the head is 180 degrees out of phase with the, yeah. Does, yeah, yeah. So pretend you've got a neck brace on and you can't do anything. Okay. So that's the neck, right? Now let's put a neck brace on. No movement in the neck. Now just move the trunk. Oh, she finds that hard to do. That's hard to do for her. So, yeah. You're asking a difficult thing. Yeah, yeah, gotcha. Don't push into my hands. Don't push into my hands. Just do the chest. Just do the chest there. Oh, something clicked. So now there's no relative motion or very little relative motion, and that's enough. You don't need to do any more of that. That's enough. Yeah, she's having to do something that it's not her preference. Yeah, but some individuals do that quite nicely. They can just go, okay, like this. You just go round and round. That's what it looks like. Yep, just in a second. Yep.
Oh, so different, the movement laying on the stomach?
They're all the same movements. Just gravity has you in its hold in a different way. So when you're on your tummy, when you're propped up this way, gravity wants to pull your head this way. It just won't. So these muscles on the back have to work more.
Okay, so I'm getting lower back pain. So obviously then I'm just locking something and not moving.
Yeah.
So I just
the movement is being concentrated in a very particular part. You're accessing that part which you can move, and other parts are not doing their job. And so that's where the movement gets concentrated, and that's when you start to pull joints together too hard.
Yes. So the solution is to go back, smaller,
rest more frequently, and get clearer about what the intent is.
Yes.
So yeah, if you can rest and simulate what the intent is, and now with a little bit of this help of the mapping of what the intent is, now you can go, oh, okay, let's see. Yeah, I got a sense that that can go around in a circle. Yeah. All right. And I know I can do this.
Yes.
All right. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't I just do that? Why don't I just do that? Why don't I just do that? Why don't I? Oh, look, and that, and then that, and then that, and then that, and that, and that. Yeah?
Yeah, well, that's what I thought. I just wanted to check in.
Yeah,
I was on
just-
the right path.
Everything that, all the tricks that you know so far, use them. Including calling Jenny and me over. That's a good trick, don't you think?
Can you just come and sit beside me?
Yeah. Yeah, there is something important about having a very clear question in mind.
Yes.
Yeah, because the kind of question you ask will determine the answer you get.
Yeah, but I think it's important to still have that
Yeah.
exploration yourself too.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I need to do. I just need to slowly nut it through.
Okay, that's great. So, would someone like to just be a volunteer here for a moment? We'll do something. That's something you can do in pairs. Yeah, please. Yeah, so stay on your hands and your knees. That's it. So now, there are your sides of the ribs. You can feel here. Now, I'm going to leave this hand where it is, and I'm going to move this hand away. Can you now move your ribs to your left to touch my hand? Here. That's it. Good. And now move your ribs back again. That. Ah, good. Again. That. And now touch the other hand. Yeah. And now touch the other hand. Yeah. And touch the other hand. Can you see what's happening with the base of her neck and her pelvis? Can you see how they're going in opposite directions? That's the movement. And can you see how it's a movement? Can you see all these folds in the material here? That means she is folding sideways. She's laterally flexing, to use anatomical language. Right. Okay, now stop. Rest a bit. So with your partner, use your hands and put them not too far away that they can't touch, because that would be mean, but enough that they know where you are and they can move towards it. And they can move towards it. And the image that I've got in my mind is, if we could have, oh, we're not finished yet. If your partner could have a small little hula hoop around them here, that they could be now touching the sides of the hula hoop. So touch the side of the hula hoop and touch the side of the other side of the hula hoop. Beautiful, nice. Okay, now let's put the back of the hula hoop here and the front of the hula hoop here. Now I'm going to move my hands away, touch the back of the hula hoop and touch the front of the hula hoop. Don't bend the elbows. There we go. Notice once again the pelvis and the base of the neck are going in opposite directions. Good. Now that you have those four positions and I don't have a hula hoop, you go ahead and go around and around the hula hoop so that it circles around. Beautiful, beautiful. And around. That's nice. And around. There we go. Nice. And around the other way. Ah. Thank you very much. That was great. Thank you. And could you please pair up and very, very discreetly, left, right, back, front, round and round in a circle.